Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and today I want to talk about comic cards and your 5 equipped cards. And I know that the comic cards themselves haven't changed in quite a while. Now we do get comic cards added to the game pretty infrequently. We had the Monsters Unleashed cards, and then more recently we had the X-Force Dodge Ignore Defense card. But generally speaking, the best cards have remained the best for the majority of situations, and that is especially true for free-to-plays. We haven't had a good free-to-play card in a while. But I went back and I looked, and the last time I made a card video was 10 months ago. So while I don't think the information has necessarily changed, I've thought of a much easier way of explaining comic card sets to you guys and kind of showing you cards you should go for versus not go for. And secondly, it's something that I can do now, and then everyone can just funnel to this video rather than having to go back 10 months to find a video that's pretty old, because let's be honest, 10 months is quite a long time ago, and I had kind of a cheeky title and there was Gambit on the front, so it's actually kind of confusing for some people who just don't know what to look for. So I whipped up a few different versions of a card set. Now, thank you to the original person who made this card calculator. It's beautiful, and I don't know who you are, but thank you. And so what you're looking at right now it's 5 cards that I've averaged out to a 3 quality, so they're all these are not ideal by any means. These are literally the worst possible rolls you could get on the most free-to-play cards possible. So at the very least, you should have these 5 cards equipped with these stats that I'm about to show you. 17% skill cooldown, 25% ignore defense. Everything else you have is gravy, and as you can see, this is pretty trash because you have all these resists and just useless stats, and you have no card collections. But this is literally the bare minimum. So if your cards look any worse than this, and if your stats look any worse than this, specifically for skill cooldown and ignore defense, then you're doing something very, very wrong. Now, you may want to intentionally play the game a different way, but why would you hurt yourself, and why would you make the game more difficult than it needs to be? Because these are the two most important stats at the beginning: skill cooldown and ignore defense. Skill cooldown lets you cast your skills in a timely fashion. It lets you cast them faster and faster. And ignore defense just makes you do more damage in all game modes. So there's literally no reason why you wouldn't want this much of each stat. You're going to want more as you get stronger, but this is literally the bare minimum. I intentionally rolled bad stats on every single one, and you can't really see the last one here, but if I were to scroll over, you would be able to see it. And it's basically as bad as it sounds. It's cold resist, fire resist, crowd control time, poison resist, and then movement speed up. But the main stats, the stats on G1 and G2 here, these are the important stats because these are the stats that do not change. So it doesn't matter if you have a 1 quality Groot or a 7 quality Groot, it doesn't matter. You will always get the crit damage, you will always get the ignore defense. And these cards are available. They're all 5 of them are available from Dimension Rifts. So I intentionally chose cards that are not only stupidly easy to find, but stupidly easy to roll. You just need to roll them to 4 stars, and then to 5 stars, and then to 6 stars, and voila, you've done it. And chances are, if you roll them all up to 6 stars, you'll end up getting at least one that's better quality, and you'll end up getting at least a few stats here that are better. So you'll actually end up with better cards than I've said. So this is literally below the bare minimum. But what happens if you actually roll some good stats for these same cards? Well, I made another list. This is the exact same set of 5 cards, except this time I chose 2 good stats for each of them. So you can see here, instead of whatever it was here, I chose skill cooldown, and then instead of whatever it was here, I chose all attack. Here I have energy attack, and I have ignore defense. Here I have ignore defense, and I have all attack, all attack, all attack, attack speed, skill cooldown. So this time around, this is a bit more, this is a bit closer to what you would get if you were to roll these 5 cards and you had sort of average to slightly above average luck. Again, no card collections, but now you're looking at card stats that are actually decent. You've got 36% ignore defense, which is very good. You have 27, almost 28% skill cooldown, which is very good. You've got 30% all attack, which is nice. You've got some attack speed, some crit damage, some crit rate. You've got some dodge even for your first CTP of rage. And it's actually looking, we're shaping up here. This is actually looking really nice. And it's the same 5 cards that are all available from Dimension Rifts they've just been rolled with some preferential stats. Now again, you're not necessarily going to get all 5 cards to roll the way you want. Maybe too many cards roll skill cooldown and you have too much of that. You don't have enough ignore defense. I understand. So you have to work with what you're given, and you have to understand how cards fit together. It's kind of like puzzle pieces, and you have to see, well, if I add this card, it's going to give me, you know, lots of A and lots of B, but I really need lots of B and lots of C, so I need to look for another card that doesn't give me A or B, but it gives me C. And you have to kind of work with what you have in that sense, but I'm just showing you what is possible when you just have, you know, the card bases that you want, the base cards, and then you have a little bit of luck splashed in. So these first 2 sets are just kind of your bare minimum, you know, very easy to obtain first month of the game free-to-play cards. Beyond that, this is what you're looking to obtain if you are more aggressive still as a free-to-play player, but you're more aggressive at fine-tuning your cards. Now, you can see that 4 out of the 5 cards have changed, and actually most of these cards center around Loki or Thor in some way, which is actually really funny. But essentially, the way that these cards are obtained, they are obtained through 2 primary means, and they both will cost you crystals in some way, but I'm going to show you where you obtain these cards. So the Avengers Origin Thor card, which is a top card here, and the Civil War 2016 number 5 card are both obtained through the Shield Lab. So what you need to do is you need to, you know, as you're playing the game, you need to upgrade your Shield Lab, you upgrade your antimatter generator to get more antimatter, and then you use that upgraded antimatter to upgrade your item shop. Once you get to a certain item shop level, the normal shop will be able to spawn these cards. You can see here the Avengers Thor card will show up sometimes, and then the Civil War 5 card will also show up. They will show up in either 5-star, 4-star, or 3-star varieties. So technically, if you want to spend the least amount of crystals, you're going to look for the 3-star variety. But you may not... Oh, actually, you know what? I don't think they spawn in the 3-star variety. I think they only spawn in the 5-star variety. Okay. No, they spawn in... Sorry, they spawn in 4 and 5-star variety. So maybe just... No. Is it here? Skirt. I can't see it. It's so small. It's so tiny. I see this one. I don't see the other one. Okay, so one of them, this is so complicated. Why did they have to make this so complicated? Okay, so the Civil War 5 card can spawn as a 4-star or 5-star variety, but for whatever reason, the Thor card can only spawn as a 5-star variety. So you're going to have to spend a little bit more crystals. I believe it's 675 crystals, so it's a little bit more than the Captain Marvel uniform. If you purchase the first one, it's a little bit less than a 750 crystal uniform, and you'll get this card as a 5-star, and then you just have to upgrade it to 6 stars. So that is the way that you obtain those first 2 cards on the list here, the Origins Thor card and the Civil War 5 card. The other 2 cards, Loki 1 and Loki 2, are both obtainable via the legendary battle for Thor Ragnarok. And this is a free legendary battle that you don't have to purchase anything to get, but you will need to purchase Thor's Ragnarok uniform, which is not his best uniform, but you're just purchasing it and getting it up to Mythic to get this card for free. And then you're going to do the exact same thing with, I believe it is Loki's Ragnarok uniform, which is his best uniform for now, to get the other Loki card. Now, personally, I really like this first Loki card, and I don't particularly like this second Loki card, but it is still one of the best free-to-play cards, and it's only going to cost you 1,050 crystals and then ranking up a uniform to Mythic, so it's really not that expensive of an investment to guarantee that you're going to get a card. Because sure, you could gamble in the custom gear chest, but if you gamble more than once and you don't get the card you want, or you don't get a good premium card, you're screwed. And to purchase premium cards outright from the mission shop, it costs 6,750 crystals, which is like, you know, 5,000 crystals more than you would pay for Loki's uniform. So yes, you kind of have to purchase a suboptimal uniform for Thor, but you end up getting a card that you can use forever. And now again, I've rolled these cards just for the sake of expediency, just for the sake of showing you. I've rolled these cards with 2 good stats and 2 bad stats. So this one has skill cooldown and all attack, but then it's got movement speed and recovery rate, which are not ideal. The Loki card again has ignore defense and physical attack, but then it's got physical defense and cold resist. So again, these are not perfect cards by any means. They are above average, but they're still not perfect, and they're still all only 3 quality, whereas you could roll a 6 or 5 or 4 or 7 quality. And now, even with no card collections, you are looking at an improved stat bonus of almost 14% attack speed, 30, 14, and 28 on the attack stats, which is crazy compared to what you looked at last time, where there was literally 0 physical attack and 6% energy attack. So this has jumped, and you're still maintaining a very strong 35% ignore defense, which I think is the sweet spot, and then 27% skill cooldown, which again I think is very close to the sweet spot. So this is kind of like the dream set for a player who has been around for about, I would say, 6 months to a year. It really depends on what you end up spending your first big crystal purchases on, because if you save up for an epic or an epic quest deluxe pack, those 6,000 crystals are going to set you back. Now the total cost for this one is only just under 3,000 crystals, so it's really not that much, but it's still about half of what you would spend on an epic quest deluxe pack. So that's why I said it's for those players in about the 6 month to 1 year range. My free to play account is coming up on the first month, and I'm about 4,000 crystals away. I'm at 4,000 crystals to get to 6,000 to get to my first deluxe pack. So I think for me to save, you know, the 9,000 crystals or the 10,000 crystals necessary for both this set's requirements, the 2 uniforms, and then the Avengers Thor card from the Shield Lab, and then also purchasing the Fantastic Four Deluxe Pack, if that's the one I'm going to go for, I think it would take me at least 6 months. It's going to take me a little bit less. I think it's going to take me 4 or 5 months, but that's because I joined during the endgame update with the login crystal bonuses, which give me an extra like 1,500 or 2,000 crystals over the month and a half that I'm logging in. So I have a bit of an advantage, but I think 6 months is a conservative estimate. I think if it's taking longer than 6 months, actually, you're probably spending your crystals elsewhere, but I can't really blame you if you want to purchase uniforms for characters that you really like. Second to last, because I have 2 more things to talk about here, I went ahead and designed, because I thought it would just be for fun, a free-to-play PvP card set. Now, it's an interesting thing because on the one hand, I don't really like PvP in Marvel Future Fight. I think that it's very underdeveloped and it's very simplistic with just a few characters dominating the meta. But on the other hand, I know that some people really love Alliance Conquest and they actually do like Timeline Battle. But if you don't have premium cards, what can you do about it? Well, just for fun, because I like making spreadsheets and lists, I pulled together, I mean, these have ideal stats, so it's going to be very difficult to get all of these cards rolled perfectly this way, but this would be kind of the dream PvP set for a pretty free-to-play player. Now, you still have the premium Loki card that you have to get Thor Ragnarok uniform for, and you have Unbelievable Gwenpool 1 that you have to get from the item shop, and it costs, you know, 675 crystals or something like that. But otherwise, Ant-Man, Punisher, and Avengers are all available through either Shadowland chests or Dimension Rifts, and they all have max HP as one of their base stats, well, except for this one. And then when you have all these cards set up, if you take a look, this is a pretty dope set, I have to say. We've got 26% skill cooldown, 33% ignore defense. You've got your all attack, but then most importantly, you've got 40% max HP and 22% recovery rate. I'm particularly proud of the 22% recovery rate because of characters like Thanos, Wolverine, Deadpool, etc. who heal. So I just thought it was really curious. You know, I only have 9% max HP on my cards, but I was able to put together a free-to-play set that has, you know, a pretty competitive Alliance tournament level of max HP. Now, yes, you would have to roll godly because multiple cards here have skill cooldown as a secondary stat. So if you got unlucky, you wouldn't be able to use these cards. So it may literally take you years to roll these cards properly, which is something that I think Netmarble needs to fix in future updates and make card rolling a little bit less punishing RNG-wise. But I just thought it was a fun little exercise. The last thing I want to leave with you guys who are, you know, looking at your cards is a reminder of all of the card collections that you should have already completed. Now, again, it's going to take you time to complete these card sets because you have to roll each of the cards in the card sets up to Mythic, but all 12 of these sets, and you can see there's important stats like attack speed, crit damage, physical attack, energy attack, max HP, dodge, all defense. All of these are available completely free to play. So more than half, 12 out of 22 sets are completely available free to play. And if you're not really sure what I'm talking about still, if you go over to the card collection tab, you will see here that these cards are all made up of completely free to play obtainable cards. You can get them either from Shadowland chests and Shadowland rewards, or Alliance Battle, Honor Token chests, or from, actually the Alliance Store chests have cards too, or the Mission Shop, things like that. So I've left out the premium ones, like for example, Unbelievable Gwenpool has this card, which is unavailable unless unless you purchase, you kind of gamble with crystals. Same thing with this one and this card, unless you're purchasing it from the mission shop for 6,700 crystals. But you can complete quite a few of the sets. Now, all you have to do to complete the set is you just need to have that one card rolled up to 6 stars, and once you roll it up to 6 stars, it will be immediately inputted into your collection. Once it is in your collection, you can then delete the card. Don't delete it, don't like throw it in the trash or whatever, don't sell it, but you can use it to re-roll another card. As you can see, I don't have that many 6 stars in my inventory, but I have all the collections. So for example, I have 2 of the 5 Monsters Unleashed cards. I'm keeping them for the moment, but I don't actually have to. I can use these cards and I can re-roll them, or I can equip them, or if I was insane, I could sell them and I would still keep and maintain the comic collection bonus. And I would, you know, even I don't have to complete the bonus to have it. Those cards would still count towards my Monsters Unleashed set, and if I ever got the other 3, if I ever unlocked the last 3, then I would get that full set bonus. So hopefully this renewed card guide with a very heavy emphasis on free-to-play cards has been helpful to you guys. I imagine that people who already know all of this information and may have stopped watching the video already don't need as much help with their cards because they know what to look for. But of course, there's always going to be issues where you have, you know, 1 or 2 cards that you're just not really sure about equipping and changing and swapping over. In that case, my first piece of advice for you is to just weigh the pros and cons of those stats with particular emphasis on skill cooldown and ignore defense, and then secondarily all attack, energy attack, and then physical attack. And then if you really like PvP, you know, attack speed and max HP. If you have questions, as always, we can have a conversation down below. Hit me up on Twitter, join the Discord if you're subscribed on Twitch, and you'll have access to the Marvel Future Fight stuff, and otherwise anywhere else you can find me on the internet. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching this stuff, and of course, the stuff. If you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.